homesteading to prepping to common horse sense, we are College Hill Farm. Welcome back to College Hill Farm. Well, today it's time to start planting potatoes. Now, this is the evening before. This is for the next 2 days. The signs are going to be in Capricorn, which is a good day to plant root crops. If I miss these 2 days, then I'd plant them when I could get them in the ground. But since the signs are favorable, that's when I want to plant them. So I've got a 50-pound bag of potatoes here. Now what I do is when the feed store gets them, the feed store gets the potatoes in early March. And as soon as they get them, I buy a bag. Because they get gone really quick if you have to buy potatoes. Most years I don't have to buy potatoes, but you saw my potato harvest last year. It was basically nothing. So I'm buying potatoes this year. So I bought seed potatoes. Don't get potatoes from the grocery store. Okay? They're not necessarily for your area, your environment. They also could have diseases that you don't know about. Certified seed potatoes are certified not to have any diseases or anything that you want to bring onto your property. Some of those diseases, potato diseases, can persist for years on your property, and you're just better off not to do that. So I've got a 50-pound bag. Now let's see if I can find the right string to pull to make this come apart. Get that out of the way. And the variety of potato that I'm using here is Kennebec. We love Kennebec. Kennebecs, they're a waxy potato. Now this year, like I told you before, Crystal's asked me to cut down on the garden a little bit. More for my health than anything else, but she's asked me to cut down on the garden a little bit, so we won't be planting as many potatoes. I only bought a 50-pound bag to plant, so I'm probably only going to do about 3 rows. A 50-pound bag will probably plant a little more than 3 rows, but 3 rows is going to be all that we have to make it through the winter. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to plant 3 100-foot rows. And any leftover seed potatoes, what I'll do is I'll give them to my neighbor over here, and they can use them in their garden. They're just starting a little garden of their own, little victory garden. So, okay. Now, let's see if I can get the string pulled. And of course, that's not the right string right there. It'll be one of these strings. No, this is the one with the knot at the end. So it's got to be up here. I hate it when they do you this way. There is no string except this one, and that is definitely not the right string. I will get this string cut loose and come back to you. Now, okay, there wasn't no finding the right string, but here's what I'm going to do. Here's my potato. Now, I don't use the entire potato for planting, because if I cut this potato, I try and leave 2 eyes on each cutting. There's a cutting. Throw that in a bucket. See, if I cut it like this, like that, I get 2 eyes right here, one there and one here. Throw that in the bucket. And it looks like all that's left here is 2 eyes on this one. So I'll throw it in the bucket. And that's how you cut those potatoes up to use them. So instead of one potato, well, I wonder where the police are going. Anyway, instead of 1 potato per hill, you get 3 hills from 1 potato, or 4 hills, depending on how many eyes are on each potato. So I'm going to get these cut up, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, I wound up with 4 buckets full. Now, what these are, they're just the little Dollar Tree $1 buckets, okay? Each one of these, in a good year, where these potatoes are good, will make about half of a 100-foot row. Okay, about 50 feet. But these potatoes, I'm a little disappointed this year. 50 pounds of potatoes. Now a lot of the potatoes were like this. This little potato doesn't have an eye on it anywhere except right there. Okay, that's the only place it has an eye. So you got to use that hole. So I put it in the bucket. But a lot of the potatoes were like this. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me cut this open. Now, this potato, well, it's not as bad as I thought. This potato has a rotten place in it, right here, that I just don't want that in my garden. And it may be blight, it may not be blight, there's no way to know. But there were a lot of them that had, when you cut them open, they were empty inside. Okay, so it had some kind of problem. So those don't go in my garden. So I'll cut this one up, and it looks like I only have enough to do 2 rows, which that's all I gotta have is 2 rows. So okay, there we go, last 2. So now, why do I cut these the night before? Well, when I was a kid, we went out and got up the night before. We plowed, we disked, we laid off. We had all ready to plant our potatoes. And my grandfather and mom and dad, everybody would come out, and we'd bring out 4 or 5, 6 50-pound bags or 100-pound bags of potatoes. And Pa and Ma, my grandparents, would sit in a little chair under the apple tree and cut these up like this. And then we'd go plant them. There was no letting it wait overnight. Well, the conventional wisdom now is that you let these set overnight and they form a skin, and it's not as easy for them to rot in the ground. Is that true? I haven't got any proof of it yet. But since I would just soon have them cut the night before, because I work solo, I'd just soon have them cut the night before and sitting down in the garden waiting on me to get there. So, okay, let's go down the garden and do a little plowing. Okay, here we are in the hill garden. I'm going to get my 4 buckets out, and I'm going to set them here by where the camera is. And they'll just sit here overnight. That won't hurt nothing. Somebody says, well, they'll get dew on them. Well, they're going to get dirt on them in the morning, so it won't hurt them. And then somebody else says, are you worried that the possums or something will come out here and eat them? Well, I've never met a possum that could eat 50 pounds of potatoes, so I'm not too worried. Now, I'm here in the flat garden. Now, I've plowed up a spot for the potatoes. I actually plowed a spot bigger than I need, but I plowed up a spot for the potatoes to begin with when I plowed my onions. Now, it's been setting for, I guess 2 or 3 weeks. And it's set, and now I'm going to plow it again. But this time, the first time I plowed it in first gear. The tractor's going real slow, less than a mile per hour. And I go down through there and it just churns everything up real good. Now this time, I'll plow it in second gear. And any clods or anything that are out there left from the first plowing, it will break up. And it'll turn this into a lettuce bed about it, which is perfect for planting potatoes. Now, I don't plant my potatoes as deep as I used to. I'd dig a trench and then plant the potatoes and then do that stuff. Well, with this tiller, it makes the ground so soft, it's easy to hill. It's easier to hill than it is to dig. So, I'm just going to do that. So, I'm going to get down through here and plow this up and bring you along for the ride. So, it won't take but a few minutes to plow all this. I'll not run it all, but I'll show you what I'm doing. Okay, that's enough plowed to plant 2 rows of potatoes tomorrow. I'll be out here about daylight to plant them. It's supposed to be 79 degrees tomorrow, so I don't want to be out when it's hot. So I'll come out when it's about 50. That's my optimum working time. One thing about plowing to plant potatoes, one thing you need to make sure you do is get your rows straight. If you don't have your rows straight, when you go to hill them, you'll be digging your potatoes up. Okay, straight rows are imperative when it comes to hilling your potatoes, and it helps a lot when you goes to digging them too. And if you're going to dig them with a tractor like I do, so I'll see you at 5 in the morning. Well, probably 6. Okay, good morning. It is a brisk 42 degrees out here this morning. I got up at 6 and I was going to come out. It was 36 degrees and I thought, well, you know, I don't have to be cold out there. I'll just wait. So it's about 8 o'clock and it's still a brisk 42 or 43 degrees. So we're going to go out here and plant some potatoes. I went ahead, I had plowed just enough for 2 rows, but I went ahead and plowed enough for 3 or 4. Just depends on what's in the buckets. I don't think I'm going to get more than 2 rows, but what if I get 2.5? So I went ahead and plowed a little bit more and let that be. I actually plowed all that I had plowed. I can't stop plowing once I start. So let's get down here in the field and show you how we plant potatoes. I know you can't see it, but there is a track that goes through here where my tractor tiller has gone by, and that's where I'm going to drop the potatoes. So you start off, you get your potato out, and you drop it where you want it to be. Now you want to put it such that the eye can come up. But the next one you drop, you want to drop it about 1 foot away. Okay? So that you've got them spaced about 1 foot apart. See here, this one, how it's cut, so that the eyes are right here. So I want those to face up. And they drop where they don't face up. Put it around there. So you got to put these where they'll be face up. Now that's what my grandfather always taught me. Whether or not that's the truth or not, I don't know. But I always plant them that way. Have my whole life. I got this one a little bit close. It needs to be a little farther away. You need about 1 foot between each potato. And what that'll do, it'll give you plenty of space for it to put on little potatoes. So I'm going to go down through here and drop all these. Drop a whole bucket's worth. Then we'll fertilize them and cover them. Okay, that bucket got me about 2/3 of a row down through there. Now it's time to get some 10-10-10 fertilizer and cover it. But I may, this morning, the ground was dry when I plowed yesterday evening. But this morning the dew was so heavy that ground is just sticking to my boots and it feels like they weigh 20 pounds. I've probably got the wrong boots on. I'd probably need to go and get my rubber boots on to plant these potatoes. But I'm already out here and I hate to go do that. So I'm going to struggle through it, but this is going to kill my back. Okay. Okay, I've got my potatoes dropped. That, not the whole first row, but the whole first bucket. And I put fertilizer in the bucket, 10, 10, 10. And what you want to do now, come down through here, sprinkle a little fertilizer where each potato is. And get some dirt without turning it over. Cover it up. Sometimes I like to mash them down. Got to cover them till the eyes are covered. And I'll get down through here and fertilize and cover these potatoes. Okay, I got one full row in. My back's in two. Wrong boots will ruin you. But anyway, I got one full row in, and it took a full bucket, and then there's that much left in this bucket. Okay, so got about half a bucket left. So it took a bucket and a half to do a whole 100-foot row. So with those 4 buckets, I've got almost enough to do 3 rows, which is what I had hoped for. So I'm going to go ahead and get at that. Okay, I got in 3 100-foot rows. You need about a tablespoon of fertilizer for each hill of potatoes, and I'll come back and do that again when I hill them. And I'll hill them twice and fertilize them twice. So I wound up with about 3 or 4 pounds of fertilizer in each row. So that's where that goes. Now, as far as time, now I know that this video shows me doing this stuff in 20 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever the video length is. But the truth is, I cut these potatoes up last night. So cutting all the potatoes up and plowing the ground and all that stuff was about 2 hours. Then today, I'm not the young man I used to be. I could go out here and I could have planted all of these in an hour. Guess what? I'd be down for 2 or 3 days. Just the way it is. I learned a long time ago, take your time, don't overdo it, don't hurt your back. So when my back starts hurting, I stop and I come sit down a while. So that's what I do. It took me a little over 3 hours to plant 3 100-foot rows of potatoes. Okay? Don't be afraid to take your time with this stuff. There's going to be plenty of work to do as the year progresses. Don't be afraid to take your time, because if you mess up and overdo for a day, then you've got 3 or 4 days that you can't do. That's just the way it is when you start getting older. It's just the way it is. Take your time. Now, if you like this stuff, this homesteading, do-it-yourself kind of thing, be certain to come on out to the channel and subscribe. We do this homestead stuff all the time, sometimes 1, sometimes 5 videos, just depends on what's going on in the homestead that week. Now, if you hit the little bell when you come to the channel, it'll notify you when we upload a video. We upload every Sunday. Now, with that being said, it's time for me to get on to the next thing and rest my back for a minute.